You are listening to the 5-Second Rule podcast presented by APIC, the Association for Professionals in Infection Control and Epidemiology. This podcast is produced by the APIC Communications Committee and is intended to be a conversation between our hosts and professionals practicing in the infection prevention and control industry. You will learn and be entertained, but most of all, we hope you will be inspired by our community and the work of our peers. And now, on to the show.
Welcome to the 5-Second Rule podcast. We are your hosts. I am Lerenza Howard, and my preferred pronouns are she, her.
And I'm Kelly Holmes, and my preferred pronouns are also she, her.
It's been quite a while since I saw you last year, Kelly. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Lerenza.
These episodes are always fascinating to me. As you know, our January episodes, we're typically interviewing the new APIC president. So this is a phenomenal episode. We have Dr. Carol McLay, who is a leading expert in infection prevention, healthcare epidemiology, and public health, with 30 years of experience advancing clinical practice in education and research, a passionate advocate for certification and professional development. She is dedicated to mentoring the next generation of infection preventionists. Dr. McLay is the author of several foundational resources, including the Infection Prevention Competency Review Guide, 4th edition, and APIC Certification Study Guides, 5th through 7th editions. She will serve as the 2025 APIC President and currently holds leadership roles on the International Federation for Infection Control, Board of Directors, and the AGIC Editorial Board. Certified in Infection Control, a Fellow of APIC, both APIC and SHE, and certified ISO 9001 Lead Auditor. Dr. McLay brings a wealth of knowledge and leadership to the field. She earned her Bachelor of Science in Nursing from the University of Ottawa in Canada, her Master of Public Health from Emory University, and her Doctorate of Public Health from the University of Kentucky. Thank you and welcome to the show, Dr. McLay.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here. Please call me Carol, and my pronouns are also she and her.
Hi, Carol. It's so nice to have you joining us. We're so excited to talk with you today. And I have to admit, I am so excited to meet you over the podcast. I've been a big fan of all of the resources that Lerenza just listed off. Amazing work, and so happy to have you with us. So tell us a little bit about your career journey and what helped you prepare for this role as APIC president.
Yeah, thank you, Kelly. So I think lifelong learning has really been a defining aspect of my career. I've always believed in the importance of continually growing and evolving, both personally and professionally. I started out my career as a registered nurse with an associate's degree. I worked for about 10 years and built a really strong foundation in patient care, but then realized I wanted to deepen my understanding of the broader factors that were influencing health. Returning to school for an RN to BSN program was a big turning point for me. I took a course in epidemiology and discovered my passion for epidemiology of infectious diseases. That passion led me a few years later to continue on in school and pursue a Master of Public Health degree with a focus in epidemiology. And then several years after that, I began and completed my Doctor of Public Health degree, also in epidemiology. Each step in this academic journey has been very intentional and aligned with my desire to impact healthcare on a larger scale. I continue to learn and grow. I believe that staying curious and adaptable not only strengthens our skills, but also helps to bring fresh and impactful solutions to our ever-evolving field of infection prevention and control.
Thank you for sharing your insights related to your career background, Carol. One thing I will say, as well as Kelly, I am very inspired by all that you have done to advance the profession and all of your achievements and accomplishments. Therefore, I'm curious to know what experiences have been particularly influential in your career.
Well, thanks. Thanks for this great question. Yeah, I would say one of the most profoundly influential experiences in my career was starting as a student nurse during the AIDS epidemic. I worked on a medical surgical unit and I cared for many young AIDS patients as they approached the end of their lives. They were often the same age as me, and tragically, many of them died alone. They were shunned by families and communities. And I really vividly remember the stigma that they faced, even within healthcare, as some of my colleagues refused to care for these patients. I would say that these experiences instilled in me a commitment to compassion, advocacy, and ensuring that all patients receive the dignity and care that they deserve. Another impactful experience was my work with the CDC as a research assistant when I was working on my Master's of Public Health degree. And I helped manage the NIST database, which was a precursor to NHSN. This opportunity gave me a foundational understanding of infection surveillance and data driven prevention strategies and really set the stage for my career in infection prevention and control. Also influential was my work as an infection prevention and control specialist in Sierra Leone during the Ebola outbreak. This experience not only strengthened my expertise in managing infectious diseases under very challenging circumstances, but also deepened my understanding of the critical role that infection prevention and control plays in global health and the need that there is for stronger and more sustainable methods to detect and contain other emerging infectious diseases. Each of these experiences has profoundly shaped my career, fueling my passion for infection prevention and driving my commitment to advance patient safety and public health.
Thank you, Carol. I do have one additional question out of curiosity because you have a wealth of knowledge and a very vast background, including working with the AIDS epidemic and through the AIDS epidemic and the Ebola outbreak from a global health perspective. So, can you share with us how exactly did that prepare you for the COVID-19 pandemic, and did you feel as though you were prepared to battle such a pandemic and future pandemics and epidemics with that experience?
Wow, that's a great question. So yes and no. I think it gave me the background and the understanding of infectious diseases and how they're transmitted to be able to handle it from an infection prevention and control point of view. But I think what I wasn't prepared for were the miscommunications in in the public, and some of the refusals to obtain vaccinations once they were available, and the stigma about wearing masks out in public. That definitely took me by surprise.
Oh, yes, Carol. I totally agree. Um, you know, I am so curious. I feel like we could do a whole episode on the Ebola in 2014. And I am sure that knowledge prepared you well, or as well as you can be for, something new and novel that, spread so easily like COVID-19.
Mhm.
Your interest in emerging infections and then also technology. It's so cool that you were part of NIST, before it became NHSN. I do remember when the definitions were 17 pages or, it was only chapter 17 and, we could print them out and carry them around with us. Now that is not the case, but so tell us about some of the initiatives that you intend to implement or promote during the year as APIC president.
Oh, great, great. Thanks. Great question. So I think one of the first things that we're going to be focusing on this year is sustainability in infection prevention and control programs. Sustainability, of course, is very critical to ensure our long term success and to make sure that our programs are resilient. APIC's strategic plan and initiatives are going to play a key role in advancing these efforts. So, obviously, strengthening the workforce is going to be a priority. We have a shortage of skilled infection preventionists. So, you're working on developing pipelines through both academic and professional partnerships and also expanding our infection prevention and control teams to include other diverse disciplines that we've not traditionally included in the past, such as IT and industrial hygienists. Retention, of course, keeping our infection preventionists is a challenge, and career advancement is also going to be a focus this year. We can promote these through strategies such as mentorships and leadership development programs. Another critical area is sustainable preparedness. So, integrating pandemic preparedness into our daily IPC work and applying the lessons we've learned from COVID-19 to enhance our resilience and our surge capacity. We must be prepared for the next outbreak. Also, environmental leadership in infection prevention. So, focusing on climate driven infection risks and promoting sustainable healthcare practices. And then finally, showcasing the value of our programs is going to be very, very essential. So, demonstrating a return on investment, advocating for sustainable funding, and amplifying the role of infection preventionists in improving safety and public health through, for example, storytelling and the use of meaningful metrics. Secondly, I'm very interested in strengthening infection prevention and control practices across borders. So, of course, infection prevention is a global responsibility. And I think that fostering collaborations across all countries is really essential to achieving our shared goals. I will work to strengthen APIC's partnerships with our international infection prevention and control organizations such as WHO, PAHO, IFIC, ICANN, for example, creating more opportunities for joint initiatives, knowledge exchange, and mutual support. By connecting our strategic initiatives to global efforts, such as expanding access to education and resources, we can collectively elevate our infection prevention practices and tackle global health challenges more effectively.
Wow, Carol, that's phenomenal. And I know that many of the things that you noted are absolutely needed within our profession. I'm pretty sure many individuals are excited, or IPs are excited to hear of the initiatives that are underway, the future outlook of our profession, especially with emergency preparedness and us having the IPC resources to combat not if an additional pandemic will occur, but when. And definitely in alignment with Dr. Tanya Bubb, our immediate past president. I'm really intrigued to learn more. I know we touched on it a little bit as far as our global IPC practices and bolstering that. So you noticed strengthening IPC practices across the board. So how do you envision promoting global IPC collaborations?
Yes, I'd love to touch on that a little bit. So, obviously, it's really essential to advance our infection prevention efforts. And I think we can promote this both through strengthening our existing partnerships as well as fostering new opportunities for engagement. So, again, continuing to collaborate and communicate with our global organizations to align our efforts, share best practices, and drive our coordinated actions to improve infection prevention control standards and outcomes. We're also really excited to partner with infection preventionists in Senegal this year through a new APIC chapter. We really value this partnership and we're excited to learn from and collaborate with our infection prevention colleagues in Senegal. We are committed to supporting international partnerships and we would really love to establish additional APIC chapters around the world. Another important project in just the very initial planning stages is a visit to Sierra Leone. We will be partnering with local healthcare workers and researchers to evaluate the progress made in infection prevention and control in the decades since the outbreak, and we'd like to explore opportunities to strengthen collaboration within the region.
Oh, wow, Carol, that is so neat. Is this the first APIC chapter in Africa?
It absolutely is, yes. We're very excited.
That is very exciting. I'm really looking forward to hearing about your work in both areas. So you've touched on this quite a bit, but bring us back to, the values that are important to you when you think about your presidency and how you intend to lead the organization.
So thinking about it, there are several core values that come to mind, and I think that they're really important to foster our success and help to advance our mission. So collaboration, obviously, it's at the heart of everything we do. Infection prevention, as we all know, is not a solitary effort. We need to work across disciplines. We need to work across healthcare settings and even borders. So I want to strengthen connections within our organization and with external partners to really amplify our collective impact. Innovation is another key value. So, as we know, the healthcare landscape is evolving very rapidly, and it's essential for us to remain at the forefront of new technologies, evidence based practices, and global trends. So, I intend to champion creative approaches and forward thinking initiatives that prepare IPs for the challenges of tomorrow. Inclusivity is also vital. I want to ensure that APIC continues to serve as a welcoming and equitable organization where all members feel valued and supported. This includes amplifying diverse voices, perspectives, and experiences within our community. And finally, accountability and sustainability are also key values. I believe in making decisions that are very transparent, that are data driven, and designed to create a lasting impact. Whether it's strengthening the workforce, fostering global collaboration, or integrating sustainability into infection prevention and control programs, my goal is to ensure that APIC's initiatives benefit both current and future generations. As president, I'll focus on these values to build trust, support infection preventionists, and try and make a real difference in our field.
Thank you for sharing that, Carol. And I wanted to go back to, just highlight some of the priorities that you previously noted, because, us as IPs, we understand and know all too well the necessity to build a ladder within our profession, but then also focusing and working on retention within our profession, right? We're already operating at a deficit. Therefore, we have to, pivot to ensure that our profession is marketable, not only nationally but globally, to retain the IPs within the profession. So, in consideration of areas of opportunity within our profession, what do you see as the biggest challenges facing IPC today?
Well, as you mentioned, the workforce shortage is one of our biggest challenges. We're really struggling to recruit and retain skilled professionals, and that adds a lot of pressure to our teams and really potentially impacts the quality of care. So addressing it, will require a multifaceted approach. We have to develop pipelines through partnerships with academic institutions. We have to enhance career pathways, and we have to really invest in leadership development to keep experienced IPs engaged in the field. And leadership development shouldn't just be for leaders. We all need, as infection preventionists, we all need these leadership skills. Another pressing issue, of course, is the rapidly evolving healthcare landscape, particularly with integration of new technologies like artificial intelligence. Of course, they hold great promise. Hopefully, they will enhance our surveillance, the predictive analytics, process efficiency, but we need the training and the resources and the knowledge to be able to effectively incorporate these tools into our work. So ensuring that we stay at the forefront of these advancements is critical. We're also facing persistent global challenges, of course, such as antimicrobial resistance and the increased frequency of emerging infectious diseases. So climate change adds yet another layer of complexity, altering our patterns of infection that we're seeing and straining already limited resources. So, tackling these issues will require global collaboration, shared learning, and a focus on sustainability. And then finally, advocating for the value of IPC programs remains an ongoing challenge. Many organizations, I'm sure you'll agree with me, underestimate the critical role that we play in patient safety and cost savings, which leads to underfunding and limited support. And I think we've all seen that with the recent article that came out about understaffed infection prevention and control programs that were using the new APIC staffing calculator. So, demonstrating the return on investment of our programs and, of course, amplifying our success stories is really essential to making sure that we get the resources and the recognition that we as IPs deserve. We have lots of complex challenges, but they also represent opportunities to innovate, opportunities to collaborate, and to strengthen our field. So I believe as a profession, we do already have the resilience and the expertise to meet these challenges and to continue to make a meaningful impact.
Yes, Carol, and I absolutely agree that there is a definitive need to invest in IPC programs and understand the value and importance that the role that we play in patient safety and quality healthcare services. So, an additional question related to that is, are there any recent innovations or emerging trends in the field that you're particularly excited about? I know you mentioned AI, so can you flesh out that question?
Great. Yes, definitely a promising trend, trying to integrate AI and advanced data analytics into infection prevention and control programs. It's very exciting. I've spent a lot of time just recently trying to learn and understand it. Very few of us as infection preventionists have that IP and tech background to really, I think, know what's happening in that field. So it's really important that we stay up to date on that. Um, I think we know AI tools are being used to predict infection trends, streamlining surveillance, and of course, identifying outbreaks earlier than ever before. So, this allows us to be more proactive and precise in our interventions, which is a huge game changer for patient safety and also resource optimization, making us more efficient, using our time much in a much better way than we've used it before. APIC has a new AI webinar series, which is beginning on February 5th, and it's a set of four webinars which will provide knowledge and tools for IPs. We are also initiating a new AI task force this year, so that's also a very exciting new development. And of course, this fall we'll be hosting the second AI summit as well. Another exciting development is, of course, the focus on sustainability. So there's a huge growing emphasis on reducing waste, implementing green cleaning solutions, and adopting reusable medical supplies when feasible. These efforts not only benefit the environment, but help to build more resilient IPC programs by addressing resource constraints. We've seen a lot of movement in Europe in particular on sustainability, environmental sustainability in infection prevention and control. And really, we're just now starting to have those conversations here in the US. And then finally, I'm really excited about innovations in training and education. For example, the use of virtual reality and simulation technology to teach infection prevention skills. So these immersive learning experiences make it really a lot easier to train healthcare workers more effectively, even healthcare workers that are in remote locations. So together, I think these advancements are really enhancing infection prevention and control as a discipline, but also empowering IPs to lead change and improve systems and hopefully making a lasting impact on global health.
Wow, Carol, that is so exciting. So many
Mhm.
interesting things. I cannot wait to see how AI transforms our profession and I guess the world around us. And I am very excited to try the virtual reality for infection prevention training. It sounds, like it'll make learning fun,
Mhm.
which is always a great thing. So you've touched on a lot of things that make infection prevention sound a little daunting with sustainability, retention, understaffing, expanding responsibilities, tackling emerging pathogens, and staying on top of stuff. So, what advice would you give to the next generation or the early career infection preventionists that are in the field?
Great question, Kelly. So I think my advice would be to really just embrace the journey of continuous learning. We never stop learning, and that's the beauty of infection prevention. There is never a dull moment. It's never the same. Collaboration and adaptability is really important as well. Of course, infection prevention is a ever-changing field, so we really need to stay committed to being informed about new research, new technologies, and best practices. Developing strong communication and relationship building skills is really essential, of course, to advancing infection prevention goals. Partnering with colleagues in clinical care, public health, IT, environmental services can really help to create innovative solutions to complex challenges. We can't do it alone. I also encourage you to seek out mentorship and to be open to mentorship opportunities, as learning from others' experiences can accelerate your growth and provide invaluable guidance. Lastly, remember that your work as an IP has a really profound impact on patient safety and public health, so stay grounded in your mission. Don't underestimate the importance of advocating for your profession and the value of your program. Your contributions matter, and you are part of a critical effort to create safer, healthier systems of care.
Carol, it's been a pleasure indeed having you on the show and really learning from you with your wealth of knowledge and expertise, and I definitely look forward to you actualizing the tenets of your leadership for 2025. Thank you for joining us, Carol.
Yes, Carol, I echo what Lorenza said. I love what you said about staying grounded in the mission. And I believe that you are just the person to help us do that and move the profession forward. So thank you for your service, and thank you for being here with us today.
Oh, thank you so much for this opportunity. It's been such a pleasure to be here.
Thanks for listening to APIC's 5-Second Rule Show. We want to hear from you. Visit us at www.5secondruleshow.org. That's with the number 5, where you can contribute to the conversation. Make sure you subscribe and rate us wherever you listen to your podcasts. We're so appreciative of the hard work each of you do every day to make a safer world through infection prevention. Remember, IP stands for Important Person. You are awesome. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.